Hey everybody, and welcome to a new live session from Denis Oakley. Today, I've got no money and I want to start up a business. A lot of the time, that would be a big problem. Lots of people think, all right, I need money to do this. I need money to buy the equipment. I need money to pay people. And they don't start as a result, or they find some money and then they spend it on all the wrong things. So the way I look at it, money is a great way of losing lots of money when you're first starting a startup. So what you need to do, first of all, is when you've got no money, this is brilliant because you go out there and you start talking to people. Because remember what I'm saying the whole time, if you want to start a business, you need to find people who've got a problem and you can change their lives. It's that simple, right? If you've got money, you can insulate yourself from not having to go out and talk to people, not having to understand people, relying on what you think or what you feel, your intuition, your gut feel, and you just go out and do stuff. And I've done that. I've built websites. I've built whole businesses based on what I thought was right, and because I had money at the time. I've had a lot less money at the end of it when I've done that. So that is hugely expensive, and I see entrepreneurs doing it again and again and again. So to start with, you do not need any money. All you need to do is go out and talk to people, right? Because if you go out to talk to people and say, this is what I want to do, this is how I'm going to do it, what do you think? A lot of the time you'll get some pretty good response. And if people are, that's a nice idea, I think that's absolutely brilliant, it's an absolutely shit idea, and you don't need to waste your time. What you're looking for is people who say, oh my God, this is just what I need. You are talking my language. You really understand the pain I'm feeling. Let me give you some money. That's the response that you're looking for. So when you're in the early days of a startup, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to get that empathy, get that understanding of the customers, the people that you are trying to serve, to whose lives you are changing or you intend to change. And if they get what you're talking about, that is incredibly valuable, and probably you will then be in a better position than 7 out of 10, possibly 8 out of 10 startups, because most startups never ever get to that point. Because the temptation is, if you've got a money, and it doesn't matter if it's $1,000, $10,000, $1 million, $100 million, and I know, and I've worked with startups who have had that amount of money and have failed because they did not understand the customer. The temptation is thinking, right, money solves all problems. I'll just hire some people, I'll hire market research, and you go off and you spend the money, or you don't even bother doing that. You say, right, I've got some money, I'm going to build something. And you go out and you start building a business, you start building something that is you think is amazingly good, but it doesn't fit the market. So if you feel that you've got a problem with no money, question is, how do you flip it? How do you turn this into something really good? And the advantages you've got here is going out, spending it with people. So let me tell you a story of where I got this. No, I'm going to tell you a story about where somebody else got this wrong. So I worked with a guy a few years ago, and he had this absolutely amazing idea. He made a lot of money by in the trading market and the import export, and he'd done really well for himself, and he thought he knew his market really well. So what he did, he went out, he got some developers, and basically said, this is what I want to do. He wasn't a computer designer or anything like that, and he spent, I think it was about $200,000 pounds, something like that, in all on a piece of software. And when I got involved with the project. It was just we were starting to get the early prototypes when a lot of this money had already been committed, and it was like, oh, this doesn't look very good, because I'm not sure really what it actually does for the consumer, what it did, how it worked. So it's like, okay, right, maybe I'm just being a real sapos, and sort of worried, am I biased here? My 15 years of startup experience says, this is a massive bleep problem. We need to do something about it. But I didn't want to tell him that straight off. So it's like, okay, I think we got a problem. What we're going to do is we're going to test it. And so we went out and we got a bunch of people who we thought were going to be target customers. And the result was a, what's this for? What does it do? Why are you showing this to me? Which aimed at the people we thought these were ideal customers. That was honestly, it was devastating, both for where we were and sort of the feeling of see the entrepreneur sort of feeling really crushed. I built something amazing and nobody cares about it. This was 6 months of work. And so suddenly you're thinking, well, there's $200,000 on the software, there's office space, there's staff counts, there's all the admin. That's a lot of money that's just got, yeah, imagine little yellow flames coming out of a big mountain. I think $100,000, I used to count money, and £1 million is something like that. Dollars, I don't know how large dollar notes are compared to pound notes, but it's a big pile of money. So this goes wrong. So one of the advantages that you've really got when you've got no money is you've got the advantage of time, especially if you've got in a job. If you quit your job, this is a little bit daft. Better to get a job, build something on the side, then come back once you've got something working. But you've got the opportunity, the time to be going out talking to people. You've got no urgency. You haven't got a runway leading off to a cliff edge that you've got to take off by. And I tell you, there's a runway at Lukla in the Himalaya in Nepal, and basically the runway goes down about like that, and the plane goes down the runway, and if it's not going fast enough, it just goes off the end of the runway and then straight down into one of those tremendously deep Himalayan valleys. And there was actually the burnt out remains of a plane that had crashed there a few months before I went there. So it's always nerve-wracking for an entrepreneur as you're diving down and you're not managing to go fast enough to get liftoff. Conversely, if you don't have any money, so you're working in a job, you're spending, you're exploring the opportunities, you're exploring how to find the market, what people really want. You're not even on the runway. You're finding out how long the runway needs to be. You're finding out what sort of plane you need to be. You're finding out how fast you need to be going at takeoff. You're finding how big the engines are for the planes, which are also sort of pretty sensible, really, don't they? But a lot of entrepreneurs, they jump into the plane. They don't actually look at the plane. They have no idea what kind of plane it is. They don't know how much fuel it is. They don't know about the length of the runway. And so they take off, and bizarrely the plane doesn't perform as expected because they don't understand the nature of the plane. They don't understand the nature of the customer who is giving them the lift to get the plane up and off the ground. So in this short talk, we've looked at, okay, I don't have enough money. And what I think the message that I want you to take away from this is, if you don't have any money as a startup, this is absolutely brilliant news, because you will use that time to spend it. You'll be a lot more cautious, talking to people, understanding their pains, and you will not launch until you have that understanding. Equally so, you've got to raise money, you've got to find finance from somewhere else, which then raises the bar for you to be going out and talking to people, understanding their needs, so that you can persuade your investors a lot more effectively, because you understand and you know your market a lot better. And do not underestimate how long this takes. I was talking to an Israeli entrepreneur the other day. He was saying, well, it took him at least 6 months to get to the point where he decided, no, I'm not going to enter this market. And that was like, okay, that's good. That's when you've done the understanding right. And it also makes it, when you do get the money, you're able to go a lot faster, because you've already understood the impact of a lot of the decisions that you need to make. So that's the end of our session this morning. My name is Denis Oakley. Please do subscribe, do like or comment if you find the videos interesting. I try and reply to all the comments and any emails that you send to me, either via here or via my website, denis-oakley.com. And also find me on LinkedIn, where I post more great stuff that's more written, about how to make a great startup, and especially how to build business models that are going to help your startups grow. Anyway, have an amazing day. See you tomorrow.